السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, brothers and sisters in Islam, I wish to begin by asking you a question. What does it take to be a taxi driver? This question might seem very simple, but behind it there is a reason. Many of us, if we think of a taxi driver, we think of someone that is qualified, that at least has the license, that at least knows the way around the city, that has some kind of experience. It is easy for someone to come and say, you know what, I have a license, but instead of the experience, I will have my phone, my GPS, and whenever people tell me to take me to that place, I will use this GPS, my phone, to serve as a direction. But does such a person serve the customer in the best way? If that was the minimum criterion, then each and every one here, most of us, would be able to become taxi drivers. But the reality is, it takes experience, it takes knowledge. It takes much more than just having a license. In the same way that being an imam, as an example, takes much more than just having memorized the Quran. It takes experience. It is easy to think of the Imam as someone who leads the prayer and gives the khutbah, but it is only once you step forward and you take on the responsibility that you realize that there's tens of people who will come up to you and say, we have problems in our marriage. Tens of people who will come up to you that will say, please help me raise my children. Tens of people that will come up to you and will ask you for advice concerning the religion. And for each and every aspect, we expect some sort of knowledge, we accept some sort of experience behind the role that a person is supposed to take. If we look for an imam for a community, we do not accept the first person that raised their hand and says, I wish to become the imam. We ask the person, what are your credentials? What experience do you have? What knowledge do you possess? And this is valid questions. However, there's an aspect in life, brothers and sisters, that we as a community, we as a society, we don't expect people to have the knowledge. We expect them to just become or attain a certain role and gain the knowledge there and then. The position I'm talking about, brothers and sisters, is the position of being a parent. Now, every single person can become a parent. Let me pause and repeat that, because that was a wrong statement. Everyone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the ability to be a parent will be a parent. But parenthood comes with more responsibilities than just the physical ability. But yet we treat it as something that you will figure it out along the way. Once you become a father, once you become a mother, you will figure it out. And this, in my opinion, brothers and sisters, is a big mistake. Because in order to be a parent, a good parent, to give your children the things that they are supposed to have in life, you yourself, you need to be educated. And the biggest mistake that we do as parents, as adults in the community, is that we raise our children the same way that we are raised ourselves. On the face value, it seems good. You think to yourself, my parents raised me in a good way. I'm not a corrupt person, I'm not bad. So it only makes sense to raise my children in the same way that my parents raised me. But then you're neglecting a lot of reality. The world is not the same as it was when you were young. It has changed. And it's easy to think I will just repeat the cycle. My parents, whenever I was disobedient, my parents used to spank me. So, if my children are disobedient, I will spank them. That straightened me out, so it will straighten out the following generation. But that might have worked for the previous generation. But we, brothers and sisters, we need to adapt to the reality of what we are facing. In the past, when a parent wanted to keep their children protected, what did they used to do? They used to keep them from going outside. They used to keep them from going outside, from the influences of the neighborhood. If there was one kid in the neighborhood that was bad, you would make sure not to let your children socialize with those children. But today we live in a different world. Today, parents, they will tell you, I don't let my children go outside. But yet when I ask them, when I say, do your children have an Xbox, a PlayStation? They will say yes. Do you know that with the Xbox and the PlayStation, there are chat rooms? There's possibility for your child to communicate with the outside world? And they're shocked when I tell them this. They're not aware of the technology. And this is not to say that the right approach is to remove the children from the society. Because I believe, and I've seen with my own eyes, when you raise your children in such a way, the only thing that you are raising are individuals who are afraid of you. That you are teaching them indirectly that as long as you are not aware, then it becomes okay. That as long as my father and my mother do not know what I'm doing online, it is okay, it's free game. And this becomes a big problem. Because what we want to raise are individuals who are of critical mind, who think for themselves. That if tomorrow you pass away, they remember your teachings. They remember what is right from what is wrong. That they do not only serve Islam just because you say so. Because the minute you're absent, they will do the opposite. What we need to do, brothers and sisters, is to give them supervised freedom. That we do not lose the reins completely, but we show them this confidence. We teach them what is right from what is wrong. And we still do our responsibility as parents. If they ask us for a phone, and they've reached the age of responsibility, and they're able to take on that responsibility, we as parents, we need to take the next step. We need to be able to say to them, okay, I will entrust you with this device. But at the same time, we do our responsibility and we follow up. What pages do they follow on Instagram? What friends do they have on WhatsApp? And so on and so forth. We do not leave them to themselves. And this balance is part of our religion that we've said many times, time and time again. If you become a parent that is completely strict, that everything your child hears from you is no, 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 then do not be surprised when your child goes behind your back, when your child does things that they're not supposed to do. And at the same time, the far extreme is true, that some parents, they don't care. They become careless. They become like a friend to their child, which again on the face value might sound good. But a friend is not like a parent. A friend is not like a father or a mother. A father and mother has much more responsibility. And this is what I see as an imam in the community time and time again. Either you have one extreme, and if you don't have one extreme, you have the other extreme. And what we as a community fail to realize is that Islam is about being in the middle. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, he put it in a beautiful way. He said, لَاعِبُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ سَبْعًا. He said, لَاعِبُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ سَبْعًا. Play with your children for 7 years. Their first 7 years in life, they should have a childhood. They should be children. They don't have to be reminded about Salah and Zakah and so on. If you want to teach them about the fundamentals of the religion, do so. But in moderation. Let them be children. Let them have fun for the first 7 years. And then Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, he said, وَأَدِّبُوهُمْ سَبْعًا, or وَعَلِّمُوهُمْ سَبْعًا, and teach them and perfect their manners in the next 7 years. From 7 until they're 14, teach them about the religion. This is the time where their mind is at a place where they can absorb the knowledge, where they can act on the knowledge. And this is not me saying it, this is Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, Amirul Mu'mineen, with the knowledge of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then he ended by saying, وَآخِرُ سَبْعًا, and be like a friend, like a brother for them for 7. From 14 until 21 years old, that time they need companionship. They don't need to be told what is right from wrong. They need you to be there to listen like a friend. And this is something that we all, when we hear this and we look back, we think how many years, how much time did we let us go by without implementing this advice. But like the religion teaches us, brothers and sisters, there is always time. Even if that time passed you, and your children are much older, they're in their 30s, in their 40s, there is still a responsibility upon us. Even if you don't have children yourselves, you are a young man who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not grant you through His wisdom children of your own. It doesn't mean that your responsibility stops there. You look at the community. You come to the masjid every single day. You see the children in the community. What are you doing for the sake of the children in the community? It is easy to say the imam should take the responsibility. The masjid should take the responsibility. But it is difficult. It's the way of the believer to say, I will take the responsibility. What do these children need? They need a place to come together. Let me sacrifice some of my time. And in reality, if you think about it, this is what all our khutbah comes back to. It is the individual responsibility. Because we can always point fingers. We can say, Fulan and Allan is responsible. But it is never us. Everyone else, kullu man fil ard, everyone on the face of the earth is responsible, except ourselves. But the responsible mu'min, the responsible believer, brothers and sisters, is the one that says, okay, there is a problem. What can I do? As Muhammad, as Ahmed, as Ali, what can I do? Can I contribute? Even for 1 hour, can I spend it with the children, the community, in the masjid? Because that is how problems are resolved. If we keep pointing fingers at people, the only thing that we will achieve is trying to find the blame without finding the solution. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشانه وأشهد أن نبينا محمد عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, it is easy to listen to a khutbah once in a while and to nod our heads as a community and say, the Imam is speaking the truth and this is what we need to hear and this is what we need to do. But it is a completely different thing to step up to the task. How often have we not mentioned this issue? How more important is this issue now at the beginning of the summer than any time else? This, brothers and sisters, is the time for action. We all want the best for our future. You might be sitting and you might be thinking to yourself, I am a young man, I am a young woman. What can I do? Let the older people find the solutions. But the reality is, if we don't all step up, if every single one here listening to this khutbah do not step up and come up and say, Imam, Masjid, what can I do? What is the responsibility that I can fulfill? Then we have lost as a community. We have lost as a community. We all know that in Islam there's Fard Ayn and there's Fard Kifaya. There's Fard Ayn and there's Fard Kifaya. Meaning things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask about individually. Did you pray on time? Did you fast on time? And there's other things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask as a community. When this person passed away, where were you? Did you pray for this person? Did the community bury this person? Did they have a janazah for this person? This is Fard Kifaya. And I might be wrong, and please correct me if I am, but I feel that the responsibility of our future generation, our children, it is not Fard Kifaya, it is Fard Ayn. Even if we don't have children ourselves, it is Fard Ayn. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not only ask the mothers and fathers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask every single person in the community. What did you do for your community? What did you do for the next generation? Did you just turn a blind eye and say, those were not my children? Alhamdulillah, my children are well behaved. My children come to the masjid. My children, my children, my children. But what about the children of the community? What about those who are not here for the Jum'ah prayers? What about those who do not come to the masjid except in Ramadan? What about those who do not come to the masjid at all? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us, brothers and sisters, we need to feel that responsibility within ourselves. We are here not because of our own deeds. We are here sitting and listening to the khutbah because of the sacrifice of our parents, that they instilled into us the importance of the khutbah. They told us time and time again, do not miss the khutbah. Be part of the Muslim community. Sit in the masjid. And first and foremost, due to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. would it then not be selfish for us to keep this benefit, this blessing from others in the community? That we say, Alhamdulillah, I am safe, I do not care about others. Alhamdulillah, I am going to Jannah, I don't care about others. When in reality we do not know where we will end up in life. Today we sit in the masjid. Tomorrow we might be a person who has left the religion, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. But when we come with the sacrifice, when we come with the efforts, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shakir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is grateful, and He knows of the deeds of His servants. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never treats any of His servants in a wrong way. But the responsibility lies upon us, brothers and sisters. Let us come together as a community. These few weeks that we have, let us focus on the children of the community. Whatever we can, even if it is 1 hour out of 1 week, entire week, we say, you know what, Imam, Masjid, the only thing that I can do is I can sacrifice 1 hour out of the entire week, or I can sacrifice half an hour, 10 minutes, whatever I can. And on a final note, the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm putting together a program, brothers and sisters, that at least 1 day of the entire week throughout the summer, inshallah, on Saturdays, we will have a program that runs from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon for the teenagers, for the youth of the community, not only teenagers, but from the ages of 7 to 15, inshallah. And we will teach them the very basic elements of the religion. And I encourage, in order for this to be successful, for people to step up. It is not only about the religious aspect, but it's for people to connect with the masjid. It's for people to come to the masjid and have a good time. Because if they have a good time during the summer, inshallah, the hope is that they will think of the masjid as a place of happiness, a place that they can connect with. It is not only that we tell them do this and do that, do not do this and do not do that, but it is a place for them to socialize, to meet their friends, to come together as a community. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين ثم اعلموا أيها المؤمنون أن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ به بنفسه وثنى بالملائكة قدسه وثلاث بكم أيها المؤمنون من جنه وإنسه فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وارض اللهم عن خلفائه الأربعة أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر الصحابة ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين يا رب العالمين اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه